We are live. Hello, everyone. Let us start today's webinar. My name is Olena Gryniuk. I'm the CE director at the SME Banking Club, and I will be your host today. And today we discuss the recipe for transforming SME banking with data and with non-financial services. My guest today is Luis Rodriguez, product evangelist at Strands. And Strands is a fintech company based in Spain with almost 20 years of experience in open finance and machine learning and AI. And yeah, with the mission to enhance customer engagement for financial institutions. Strands is also a part of CRIF Group. So, Luis, welcome and thank you very much for joining today.
A pleasure to be here, Lina. Always loving talking about small banking.
Yeah. So let's do it. Let me mention very shortly some organizational information for today, and then we go to our topic. So we plan today's webinar for 45 minutes. We are recording it, so right after we finish, you will receive the link to the video and the presentations as well. So we will start with the presentations, and after that we will have a Q&A session. But you are welcome to ask your questions or type your comments in the chat right from the beginning, and we will be reading all of them during the Q&A session. And yeah, so this is it from the organizational perspective, and let's get to our topic. I would like to start this webinar with the statement that the beyond banking or value-added services, as banks call it, or non-financial services for SMEs, this is becoming an everyday SME banking, so a normal banking. And why is that? I would like to share a snapshot of our overview of the CE region. What is the situation, or what is the status quo with the digitalization of financial services and SME banking this is based on our annual digital banking studies, where we analyze the functionalities of the online banking, mobile banking, and also digital lending and digital factoring functionalities. And what we can say is that the 80% of the daily banking operations, which you can see here for the business customers, like the balance accounts, payments in local currencies, payments in foreign currencies, foreign exchange module, this is all opening accounts, this is all already digitalized by the main part of the banks. So having this in the digital offer for business customers, this is not what differentiates banks on the market anymore. And of course, if we talk about the SME lending, then we can say that around 50% of the banks servicing SMEs implemented online or mobile loan application for SMEs. But also we know that not all the SMEs will need lending products. So but all the SMEs are using transactional banking, and this is their daily operations. And the 30% of the banks implemented full credit cycle for SMEs in their digital channels. So what is the next thing that differentiates banks on the market? And being also now, so having the SME banking experience and being also now an SME customer, I can say that two things differentiates now banks on the market. First, this is user experience, which we probably will talk a little today. This is not the focus, but the user experience in business banking channel, which are now worse than we have in consumer banking. So entrepreneurs are expecting the same or maybe even better experience in their business banking channels as well. And business support services, or beyond banking services, as we call them. And here we can see that in the region, in the Central European region, 30% of the banks implemented this. And I would like to show you the example of Poland, which is the most digitalized market in the sense of the SME banking and SME lending area. And here I can say that the statistics are that 80% of the banks servicing SMEs implemented beyond banking or business services for SMEs. This is mainly so I just here show you the examples from the main banks here and their platforms which they offer for entrepreneurs. So first example, this is ING bank in Poland. They offer invoicing tool. They offer online accounting tool for several years already for SMEs. Then the example of the Pekao Bank, which is the biggest bank in Poland, also offering e-accounting or online accounting with the invoicing module in it. Then Pekao SA Bank as well offers accounting and e-invoicing module for SMEs. This is example of the Crédit Agricole Poland. They launched last year a platform which is called Business Zone, which includes several banking and beyond banking services on one platform. Then we have mBank, which actually was the first on the Polish market offering invoicing and online accounting for SMEs. Then Santander as well, e-accounting and invoicing tool for entrepreneurs. And this is the example of the BNP Paribas, Alior Bank, and this is example of the Nest Bank, a smaller bank, not in top 10, but very, very much focused on servicing entrepreneurs. And they also offer online accounting and invoice tool for free for their customers. And here, as you see that the main or the offer or the main business offer for the SMEs is about invoicing tool and accounting tool, and I think that this is very appropriate and convenient for SMEs, because you know that SME banking is about cash flow, right? So it's more about cash flow than about profits. It's about getting paid on time from the counterparties. It's about knowing your cash flow projection. It's about paying taxes on time, and I think that building the ecosystem around that need of the SMEs is the very right strategy. And if we look at the examples from other countries in the CE region, we can say that this is a vice versa situation. So like around 20% of banks started to implement business services for SMEs. This is example from Romania. The biggest bank there, Banca Transilvania, implemented last year application for SMEs, which is called BTGo. And this is a application which has both banking and beyond banking services in one. And they plan to migrate all the customers to this platform. And I actually read the news last week that they have 300,000 customers, which is the biggest part, or almost all the customers, all the SMEs in Romania using this platform. So having that in mind, I think that for the banks, for the bank perspective, this is really what differentiates banks on the market, and SMEs do start to expect banks to deliver such services and expect this platform or business services platforms be integrated with the transactional banking. So that's, for example, or with some financial services. So for example, when I issue the invoice, in my business system, or the business system bank is offering me, it means that I can send at once from the level of the invoice with, let's say, 1 to 3 clicks this invoice to get finance if I want to as an SME customer, or also if as an SME customer receive the invoice, so I have the possibility to pay it from the invoice level as well, not to copy paste, all the data. So, log in online or mobile banking separately and copy paste all the data and do the transfer, but to do it in an integrated way. So this integration and seamless journey in between the business services and banking services, I think this is very important next step which should be done, and this is the advantage actually for the SMEs to use banking solutions for business services, because it could be easier integrated, and then it is less hassle for SMEs and less time to do the operational stuff. And for SMEs, of course, this is, as I say, this is the advantage in their eyes of which bank to choose when they open their business account, or they can switch the bank because the bank offers business services for free or in the package. And probably the next, and just maybe to say that, because for SMEs, their business services or their business application, the invoicing tool is the main platform they're using in their everyday business life. So not the online banking or mobile banking, but the business service platform. And probably the next step here, and after the slides, I will, Luis, pass it over to you, because trends do exactly what should be done as the next step is, of course, seamless integration of business services and banking services into the one platform, to have it under one login, to have a possibility to do the payment or get invoice finance with several clicks. And also, of course, implementing and offering SME financial or advanced, I would say, financial management tools like cash flow projections, because SMEs will never do it by themselves, just because the lack of the time, because when you are one man or two man business, then you have a lot of tasks to do, and you will never do the cash flow projection even if you know how to do it. And this should be could be delivered by the banks, with, of course, the next steps, with a great opportunity using this tool to cross-sell banking products, financial products, but in a very smart way, in a very intelligent way, because knowing all the data and receiving all the data from the transaction, from invoicing, from accounting data, then having all these and being able to analyze it in a proper way, then to offer SME a really appropriate and very in time, very in the context of their business, the next best product. So, and then this is what Trends is offering and helping banks to implement. And Luis, I'm passing the mic to you to continue the topic.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Olena. Thank you for the introduction. Today, for the next 20 minutes or so, I will be talking about what we see as the recipe for transforming the small business banking. Olena has already touched in a few points, no? But let's dive in. And very quickly, we all know this, no? Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. The small business are the back of the economy, the heart of the economy. Whenever you look at any report, they are major contributors to GDP and work everywhere in the world, no? Both in first world countries as well as in emerging countries. So why are we still then talking about the small business banking? And well, these companies have lots of problems, no? But focusing on the financial aspect of them, a few of them they are looking for solutions and they're looking for help. It's about financial management. Olena was talking about, how can I do my cash flow if I'm running my business? Not even if I know how to do it. Not all of them have that knowledge, but they also struggle with time in terms of reconciliations, calculations, forward thinking, planning, etc., etc. Not all of them need credit, but when they need credit, they struggle, no? And they will see why in a while. But and also they lack access to information tools, no? That tell them about the market, tell them about their customers, help them to understand the kind of their projections or the information systems, no? Because they deal with fragmented data sets. And also there is a subset of companies that they look for a lot of advice. No, they want help because they're entrepreneurs. They're people that are drive by growing their passion, but sometimes they need support. No, and they're looking for these things. And at the other side of the table, no, we have this struggle from the industry to serve them properly. It's improving slowly, I would say, but sometimes we have what we call this missing middle, no, where we have companies that either we offer them corporate products that are too big for them and they're too complex, or we put them in the retail because we don't really know what to do with them. No, and the banks themselves also are dealing with some challenges for this segment. No, in terms of we're talking about access to credit, but sometimes data opacity and the lack of information makes their underwriting complex and slow. And at the same time, the banks are facing new competition, no, from platform lenders, from people that are dealing with other sides of the operations of the small businesses, and for new entrants that are looking at this space as ready to be disrupted and take the money away from you. So those are kind of the main problems. And looking at in a very simplistic way of segmenting this segment, if we look at companies with lending products and companies with non-lending products and look at the size, we're looking at very different needs. No, obviously, if you're a small and micro enterprise that's just starting, you're looking for potentially digital self-serving, because otherwise the banks want very little money from you, and therefore they won't pay you a lot of attention. You may move to kind of to need a lending product fairly quickly, but if you are on the deposit space, then you're looking for ways of maximizing that deposits, and you're talking to a different type of advisor, et cetera, et cetera. So we're looking at segmentation within the small businesses is quite fragmented. No, there are different type of companies, different type of industries with different type of lending or non-lending needs, and it should be very kind of individualized in a way. But when we look at the marketplace, no, and we look at the offering of banks, as Olena was saying, we're covering the bases, and everybody looks a bit the same. No, and what we are trying to do here today is to give you a recipe to transform that picture and make yourself stand out. And what will be that picture from our point of view? And I'm talking from Mexico, so I haven't had breakfast yet, so this cake is making my mouth water. We think in CRIF and Strands that you need three main ingredients: additional data sources, a layer of intelligence, and top it up with beyond banking services. And I'm going to get into what we mean by this right now. I think having additional data sources should be pretty obvious, the answer to that. But let's dive into an example to drive it home. We were talking earlier about platforms and platform lending. And basically, these tech platforms are revolutionizing and reinventing the small business lending. And if we look at why they're being so successful, these some examples of the amount of money they are being able to lend to customers. They are successful because they have access to something that traditional banks don't do, which is what I call first-party data. And if we look at those platforms and we look at the marketplaces or kind of the payments or the accounting software platforms, they have access to additional information that removes that data opacity that we were talking about before, and allows them to kind of very quickly assess the risk of the company, and also very quickly detect the need and the point of need, and offer these products. And that's what makes them so successful, and so facilitate them to disrupt this space. Okay, so that's the reason for the data. You need to acquire new data because you need to acquire new services. And this is an example from BBVA that is already starting to tap into this kind of trend of saying, what else can I understand? What else can I know from my customer base? So can I actually compete with these tech platforms and start kind of serving my customers in a big way? So you need to eliminate data opacity, and that's the reason you need that component in your recipe. And what we propose is that you look beyond open banking. Open banking is kind of the first step, if you wish, but you need to look at potentially connecting to local bureau, potentially connecting to accountancy packages that they're not necessarily your competitors, or they could be, as you saw a few slides back, but you could collaborate and especially acquire that data from them to facilitate your services. And also looking at e-commerce platforms, point of sale data, any other business information that could be relevant, and put them in at your fingertips. Because when you have that data, then what can you do? You can obviously start looking at improve your underwriting. You have more information about your customers, so that will be making you more visibility. But you will be also to fulfill some of the of the problems and needs and expectations of your customer base. This is a report from IBM that came out not long ago. There's a mismatch between banking expectations and small business expectations. And if you look at a few of the points there, they're looking for understanding the sector where they are. They want to have business and plan support. They want to have market analysis and information analysis, as well as offers and access to lending. So they're not just looking for money; they are also looking for ways of information, handling information, understanding information, and then understanding their business. And this is what you can do. You can start transforming the way you interact with your customers with that data, because you are going to be able to do all that digestion of information and do that enrichment, and then start walking a path of understanding who you're talking to, not just from a product perspective or a balance perspective, but from needs and issues and potential opportunities or pitfalls, and then help them along the way and eventually monetize them at the right time. And to give you some examples of the things that you can do with your data, you can do, as Olena was saying, cash flow is king. You can provide them predictive models for cash flow. You can tell them about liquidity issues or liquidity, excess capacity, optimize their working capital, tell them about the spending habits, tell them about kind of the sales cycles and the payment cycles, and let them know really well, digest all the data for them, and let them really know how their business is operating. Not just looking at the past, but looking at the future, which is crucial. And you can also keep them informed, which is one of the key things. They are always a struggle for time. So anything that could let them know key business parameters at the right time, alert them of things that are going to happen in X number of days' time or weeks' time that they need to take care of, and provide as much automation as possible to solve them. That's what you can do with all that excess data. And again, trying to optimize their operations. And Olena was talking about getting paid on time. So you can alert them of, provide them risk analysis of their clients, so they can understand, if Luis is going to pay on time or not, if it's going to have an impact in my cash flow projections, and handle that. Optimize mediums of payment. You can say detect whose customer pays through which channel, and then kind of provide that as let's say a QR code and an invoice or any other means of platform. And also provide the market information about where they operate, where their customers are, what the competition is doing, etc., etc. So that's all you can do with data. Basically, at the end, from the point of view of the monetization part, you can achieve that kind of transform the model of that is currently in the industry, where we are taking products to people. No, we are doing marketing campaigns, we are calling them, or interacting with them to talk about our products and our services, and reverse that model and bring people to product. No, because you're going to be able to understand their behavior, their needs, the moments of needs, and at those moments of needs, you have all the information to evaluate their risk, their capabilities, and place the products in the right time. Like here, you have an example that you can read later. But that's the kind of key thing that you can do with the model: understand customers, help them, and then with all that information, place your the right product at the right time, and bring people to product, not product to people. And again, this intelligence layer, that kind of enrichment analytics and all that information that you're going to be able to derive, is going to put you in at least the same level with all these tech platforms, which at the moment you will otherwise struggle to compete. And could be, the sources of information and the enrichment you can get out of your imagination is the limit about what you can obtain. And in the final part, in the final layer, we were talking about non-financial services, and I think this is crucial, from a fulfill that cake, saying, okay, if you look at just pure products and just pure information, if you already add additional layers of understanding your customers and serving them, and if you already put what I would say are non-financial services in terms of cash flow, forecasting, invoice handling, information about customers, if you complement that with products and services that solve specific problems of your customer base, then you have a full recipe for success. And here you have an example, which I think is extremely relevant. We are suffering. I was looking at a report very recently with like trillions of scams going around the world, and lots of look at the report from Mastercard in terms of cyber attacks and the impact in businesses. So that is the kind of thing we are talking about. So look about the whole package that you can provide to your customer base, not just as your banking products. And if you are solving specific needs and that are financial, non-financial, then you will have a true differentiator in the market. And they will be the final picture. You have acquire new data, will be enriched, and then you will put a layer on top of products and services that complement the needs of your customers in terms of cash flow forecasting, insights, cybersecurity, ESG, you name it. The top layer, you could enrich it as much as you think is possible, and by talking to your customer base. We just put a few examples. And then you have one final piece. All of this is also going to facilitate that all the relationship managers that you have in the bank, that you were looking in the kind of segmentation picture, that currently are very, very limited in the way they can talk to the customers, because they are only looking at their products and looking at the balances and a very limited information. They will also have the possibility to have this at their fingertips. So, excuse me, transform the way these customers talk to your relationship managers, and enrich that conversation in a way where I will be able to get that other expectation, support and advice to do planning, to do growth, to do opening a new shop, because my relationship manager will be able to understand my business and then eventually be able to offer a product that suits me. So that will be transforming the interaction with your customer base. So at the end, with that recipe, with that cake, you will be able to move from looking like everybody else to do a truly unique individual, like Mr. Hulk here and provide a unique value proposition. Now, let's look at an example. We work with HSBC Kinetic to launch a new value proposition in the UK market a few years ago, which was based on this recipe, on these principles, okay, that I just mentioned about. HSBC decided to target that subsegment on the bottom left, where saying, okay, we see there is an opportunity to target new companies that are starting single directory entities, that we're going to provide a full digital self-serving platform so they can actually operate with us from day one, and included kind of digital onboarding and all sorts of things that we talk about. And if you ask yourselves why to target that segment, it's because look at this, about 20% of the big companies are scale-ups, so at some point they need to start, and that's the moment where HSBC Kinetic was targeting to get. So let's make sure that we have the big customer of the future, and that's what they did. They provided a combination of new data sources. We help them to connect to multiple data points like Xero, QuickBooks, Sage accounting packages, and open banking. And also they were able to enrich all that information and provide to these tools non-financial services like cash flow forecasting, enrichment of transactions, spending analysis, and reconciliation of invoices, and information about kind of predictability of cash flow, etc. And when the moment was right, obviously a new company doesn't need money from the very beginning. We're able to transform these companies from that left downside quadrant to the right downside quadrant where they were doing lending products, because we were able to understand their needs, the moment of life, and identify the right moments, and then suggest the right product in there and obtain, as you see there, like 30 million pounds in loans in 18 months for those transformation journeys. The other example I was wanted to highlight to you, and I think is also quite relevant, is that when you have these tools, and this is you could start also offering these tools to people that help your customers. And this is an example with accountants. It's still the digitalization of the industry is still not that high across the world. So there are many companies in many places in Europe and in the rest of the world where these people have the small business owners have accountants have the service. And imagine how that will empower that other group of individuals. If they have visibility, additional information, at their fingertips in terms of automatic reconciliation and all the things that they need to optimize their day in, day out in there. So this is what I was trying to talk to you about, our understanding of how to transform a small business banking is to moving from the traditional services that are a must-have, as Olena was presenting at the beginning, where these things that everybody has and the business needed, to then move to something that goes way beyond banking, because you're acquiring new sources of data, putting an intelligence layer that helps you and them at your customer base, because enriches the capabilities, and then putting that into a non-financial service layer that provides tools that they need for the day-to-day, additional information that they're looking about their customers and their market opportunities, and improves your cross-selling and upselling, and at the same time allows you to sell and to solve other business needs like cybersecurity or kind of partnerships that I could benefit from, like co-working spaces, ride sharing apps, etc. And that is me for today. I will be more than happy to connect you through LinkedIn.
Thank you very much, Luis. Thank you for your presentation. Yeah, and actually the examples of the cybersecurity protection or help for the SMEs is becoming very, very relevant. And actually, I think the banks who will be the first to offer this will gain the market because of the same issue that SMEs either don't know or they don't have time or they don't have, I don't know, money or knowledge to protect themselves. And the first bank to offer will gain, I think, the big number of the customers. And also you mentioned co-working space, and yeah, this is also a great example of the non-financial services, not digital ones, but very important for SMEs when they can really come to the co-working spaces offered by the bank for free, have the conference room, for example, for their meetings with their customers. We have some examples of ING doing this in the CE region and Santander Bank with Santander Cafe all over the countries that they are present, including Poland. And I do use it also when traveling, so it's really very, very convenient. And here, so let's, I invite our attendees to ask questions because we do have some time to answer them. And while I have several questions about your platform, exactly the one that you showed for the enhancement of the customers' engagement, the SME customers' engagement. It's called Compass, right? Strengths Compass. So my questions here are the following. So if we take, like, for example, the micro segment or the segment that's banks are using scoring, for example, to do the credit decision making. If we go to the Compass platform, how it is different with their statistic or with the financial health measurements from the actually traditional credit scorings for SMEs that banks are using from your experience?
Yeah. So remember, as you mentioned, Strands now is part of the CRIF group, and CRIF is an expert in credit bureau and credit scoring and all these type of things. No? So the point here is not to replace, but to empower. No, and the thing is, like, when you have when you put these additional data sources and can be many, no, you can be looking at accountancy information, you can be looking at open banking information, you can be looking at utilities spent, you can be looking at the PNL of companies from business information systems. All of that allows the platform to provide additional kind of features and data points that enhance the risk analysis capabilities. No, so the underwriting teams and the lending teams of the bank, as well as having their traditional models, they will have additional indicators that are extremely relevant at the point of sale, meaning at the point of doing a loan origination, but very importantly also to be able to monitor and track what we call early warnings. No, so to monitor your portfolio and say, okay, because at the end, is this chicken and egg with a small business? No, it's like I think you are risky. No, that's kind of the starting point. Okay, I give you the money, but then it's important to be able to monitor that risk. Because some of them do default. No, so and that's the other important part. No, is that all this additional information allows a compact platform not only to facilitate and make the time to loan shorter for the bank, which is critical now to compete, but it allows them also to be able to have early warnings that are not when you are not starting paying, but way before that, because we have these cash flow projections, we understand your sales, we have this information at the fingertips, and that's kind of how it transforms the lending space. No, it reduces, it shortens the time to yes very much because you have more data to make your decision, and it also facilitates your management of your portfolio because you have a lot of more information to monitor and make sure that you action on the ones that are becoming more risky.
Yes, and also maybe it could be useful for the RMs if the small business customers are served by the relationship managers. Yeah, so this information could also be available for the RMs in the CRM to know their customers better. Right?
Totally, and transform the conversation, no? Because I've been a business owner myself, no, and I go into the bank, and the person in front of me has some objectives and some touch points, but they are more about their products
Yes,
than my business, no. So
that's true.
so if that person in front of me will be able to say, oh, look, I see your cash flow projections are looking good, and this may open an opportunity. Why don't you look at potential
Yes,
real estate I have here available? uh, that the conversation is different, no? Is because it's about my business, that eventually maybe at the end about his product or her product, but we are talking about me, not about them, no? And that
yes,
is one of the things that you can do with this type of platform, no? To transform that relationship, also when it's a human to human conversation, no? Because
yes.
he or she will have a much more understanding of what I'm doing, what I end up to, how I'm performing, and he will be able to help me, no, advise me in a different way.
Yeah. Because when now we have examples when RMs on the branches or on the business centers have, I don't know, 100 or 200 or 300 SMEs in their portfolio, so it's hardly they can physically can analyze all the financial
All of
statements
that,
by themselves. So in
exactly.
this case it can actually help to understand their customers, their SMEs.
And potentially kind of group them in the kind of in different types of more needs, more opportunities,
Yeah.
be more kind of focus, no, about who am I talking to, because I know there may be opportunities or there may be issues that I need to resolve, no. And
Mhm.
the ones that are kind of in the middle, but I can leave them for another time, but so it could be more efficient in my job as well as an
Exactly. Yeah. What are the prerequisites for the banks to implement such Compass platform in the sense of from the business and technical perspective as well?
the implementation of from the technical point of view is not complex. So I think the main prerequisite is to want to do it. No, I think is to move into a mental space where you think, okay, just my traditional products are not enough. Um, and I need to provide something else to my customers. No, that I think is the key first step. No, because after that, an implementation of our product is about 6 months. No, and again, there are ways of shortening that time and kind of potentially starting with things like data acquisition and enrichment that benefits already kind of internal departments of the bank without touching the digital banking. Or at the end, we advocate obviously for transforming the user experience as well, no, where to move to um, to have a digital experience where I can manage my company in your application, no, not just do a few operations. So I think those are kind of there is not a lot of complexity technically. Obviously, there is always projects, there is always budgets, there is always technology that needs to be
Mhm,
implemented, but it's not a complex product to deliver. Um, but
mhm.
but I think the first important thing is to do you want to start going to the if we look at your report, no, to the right hand side of that slide, not to the 10% of people doing that type of thing, no. And I think that is kind of a key decision, and I think there is a lot of money to be made, and the business case stands out when you look at it.
And how big, from your experience, from your previous implementations, how big team from the bank side is needed to launch the project, but also then to maintain it, to develop?
I mean, I cannot give you a standard answer to the first part, no, because obviously it's not the same working with HSBC that they're working with, I don't know, Lulaland, that is a small startup in South Africa, no.
Okay.
But so in terms of project and technology, every bank has their own kind of you know roadmap in the sense of kind of things that they need to go through, who is involved in the projects. But typically, we're talking about an architect, we're talking about a expert in data from their side, and obviously some infrastructure people, security people, the type of profiles you will see in any technology bank implementation. Just as to be said, this can also be consumed as a self-service, which also reduces significantly that burden in the bank. In terms of maintaining it, then the banks become they are basically kind of it's a product for them. No, it's like what you would expect to have in the digital team of the bank. No, it's like they're not looking at this as a as a separate team that lives outside their other products and services. Now it gets embedded. So for instance, with HSBC, we're talking to 2 or 3 people that are specifically dedicated to enhance and create new ideas for this. So there are no huge teams. It becomes of the day-to-day operations. Say, people are looking for more features, or they are looking for for additional expansion. Obviously, the bank and with us has new ideas to bring to the table. Like now we are doing in the case of HSBC, an automation of certain processes inside. So it becomes, you don't need an additional team. It becomes embedded into your daily operations.
All right. And then probably my last question before we wrap up will be about AI. I just have to ask you how AI is implemented or used in the Beyond Banking application, in the Compass platform. How exactly?
Yeah, it's in two ways. One, I will say in a more traditional way in terms of machine learning models to do predictions, to do cash flow forecasting, time series, all these type of things. Assessing the risk of your customer base. If I have access to your invoices, all these type of things is kind of a traditional machine learning. Traditional in the sense of because now everybody talks about generative AI. So more kind of let's say normal models. That's one part. And then we're using generative AI or incorporating generative AI in two ways. One is that digitalization is still an issue in the industry. Excuse me. So especially when you look at the small business segment globally, there are a lot of people still doing Excels, PDFs, all these type of things. So not everybody is using accountancy platforms or ERPs. So those people are still targets. And now generative AI facilitates the processing of invoices and the processing of receipt management in a very efficient way. Allows you kind of to automate that capture of that information, even if your customer base operates manually through Gen AI, and that's one thing. And obviously, there is always the element of that everybody has. It's about kind of a conversational interface, where rather than having to look at a pie chart, I could ask questions about what is my top customer, what is my revenue for the last 6 months. So all these things can be done through that kind of interface. So those are the two things. Big part is traditional machine learning models for all these things, and the other part will be these two use cases I always just mentioned.
All right. We will wrap up. Don't have questions from the attendees. So thank you very much, Luis, for your contribution, for very interesting presentations. I do hope that our attendees find it relevant and interesting for them. We will share the materials and, of course, contacts to Luis. So if you have some questions afterwards, after the webinar, you are very welcome to contact either by email or LinkedIn. And thank you very much. And I see you in June during our next webinar. Thank you very much, and see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you, Olena. Thank you for the opportunity. Pleasure.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.